I'm your host, Kurt Sandvig, and welcome to Paranormal Almanac. That's right, I'm your host, Kurt Sandvig, and on this week's edition of Paranormal Almanac, I'm going to be talking about the Oman House. And no, not O-M-E-N, but O-M-A-N. And if you don't know what it is, you're going to have to wait just a second, because first, as always, we have shout-outs. Shout-outs go out to Megan. Welcome, Megan. Laura, Shani, Todd, Jamie, and Elijah Hendrickson. Kira, Rich, Rachel, Laura, Angie, Anthony, Carolyn, Chuck, Dan, Laura, Daniel, Dill, Edgar, Heidi, Jeff, Juliana, Kat, Laura P, Laura O, Lindsay, Maggie, hi Maggie, Matt, and Pablo. Once again, we got a special shout out to McKeon. She knows why. Before I get to the Oman House, let's go to paranormal news. I only have a couple of stories. They'll be real quick. First up, Satan ruled out as experts puzzle over mysterious flaming pit in Arkansas. Experts are trying to determine the cause of flames of up to 12 feet high spontaneously erupting from a pit in Midway, Arkansas last month. They don't know what caused it, though. One person, Judge Mickey Pendergrass, says, as far as the spiritual Satan goes, we've ruled that out. He didn't come up and stick his pitchfork in the ground and blow that hole out. The fires burned on for about 40 minutes on September 17th from a hole believed to have been made by animals. But animal holes don't usually catch on fire. Fire Chief Donald Tucker says, I took a temperature reading of it and it showed 780 degrees inside the hole. But what caused it? I have no idea. There's no gas lines nearby, and there was no smell of natural gas. He also ruled out a meteor strike, as the 3.5-foot deep pit had been there for some time. So there is a mystery burning hole in Arkansas. If you want to go and figure out what the hell's causing this really hot fire, feel free and make sure you let me know. And next up, I posted about this one on our Facebook group, but I also wanted to talk about it here because it's getting very close to Halloween, and this is important because a spooky skull-like death comet asteroid is going to zip past Earth just after Halloween. A skull-like asteroid that passed Earth in October 2015 is coming back for another visit in early November. Now, officially, it's named 2015 TB145. The asteroid has been called the Great Pumpkin by NASA because of its Halloween flyby 3 years ago. But it's also been described as a death comet because it's believed to be a dead comet and because of its skull shape, which was picked up on radar images from the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico. And I gotta say, it does kind of look like a skull. So we got a death comet coming by early in November. The closest the comet will come this time around is 24 million miles on November 11th. So nothing we have to really worry about, but still, a skull-like death comet? That never seems good. All right, with that, let's get to the episode. Now, this episode is a little bit different. I'm going to be talking to David Oman, who owns a house on Cielo Drive. If that street name doesn't sound familiar, we're going to have to go back to August 9th, 1969. Because on that night, 5 people were brutally murdered under the orders of Charles Manson, who told his followers, quote, totally destroy everyone in it, as gruesome as you can. Now, sadly, that's exactly what they did to a pregnant Sharon Tate, Abigail Folger, who is heir to the Folger coffee empire, Jay Sebring, Wolfcheck Frykowski, and Stephen Parent, who are all very brutally murdered by Tex Watson, Susan Atkins, Linda Casbian, and Patricia Krenwinkel, who are all part of Manson's cult. This was brutal. Now, I know I keep using the word, but for a lack of better term, brutal is the best way to describe what happened there that night. I know any murder is brutal, but these were particularly savage, brutal murders. I'm not going to go into the gruesome details. They're readily available online, but frankly, I just don't want to go into it any more than I already have. I wanted to give you the key names and the location. And it's important because we're going to move forward to 1994 when the house was demolished just after Nine Inch Nails recorded their album Downward Spiral. The house where this actually happened. And a new, ginormous mansion was built there. And I mean, it is huge. When I was driving up to visit David Oman to actually get a tour and investigate his house, I was going up Benedict Canyon, and I couldn't believe how big this house was. Not David's house, but the house that on the actual site of the Tate murders. Now, don't get me wrong. David lives in a mansion. It is a 3-story house on the side of a hill that is gorgeous. But this new house where the Tate murder house was, it is ginormous. It wraps around the mountain. It has an insane view. It wraps around the mountain. It is absolutely incredible. But just 3 houses down from it is David Oman's house. I'm talking just 200 feet away from where the gate for the Tate house was. David Oman's house was built on the side of the mountain by himself and his dad. It took them almost 4 years to build it, and they finished it, I believe, in 2002. Almost from the get-go, construction workers started seeing and hearing things that they couldn't explain. It quickly became apparent that something paranormal was going on. Now, like I just said, I was invited to David's house by David, and I gotta say, I like David. He's a down-to-earth, slightly quirky guy. He's quick to change the subject or veer off topic, but it's always in a great conversational-like way. And I can't blame him. This is his house. This is his story. If he wants to go detail by detail, great. If he wants to veer off from conversation to conversation, I totally get it. Now, when I pulled up to the house, the first thing I did was I looked down to the end of the street. These are small mountainside streets. They're very small. In fact, there was a car leaving. I had to pull over almost to the side of the mountain, almost to the side of the hill, I should say, for the car to get around me to get out. These are very small streets. At the end of Cielo Drive is the new gate. And that's the gate that replaced the one from Sharon Tate's murder house. Now, I hate describing it as that, but it's the best way I can think to describe it. So I pull up, I think, well, before I bother David, I want to go down to the gate. I want to get as close as I can to where these murders actually happened. These brutal, brutal murders. I start to walk towards the gate, and sure enough, the gate starts to open and a car comes out. So I'm like, oh God. So I quickly walk over to David's house, knock on the door, wait on his porch. And the car slowly goes by and looks at me because, unfortunately for the new owner, there are a lot of people that go there to pay homage to what happened there. Some of them are just history buffs, Hollywood history buffs. Some of them are true crime buffs. Some of them are Manson followers. For this guy to be skeptical, I don't blame him at all. But anyhow, I knock on the door and I wait for David. Sure enough, he opens up the door. He is incredibly welcoming. Like I said earlier, I really like this guy. He is a very nice, very quirky, very odd guy, but in the best way possible. The house itself is a mansion. It is gorgeous. Now, there are cameras set up everywhere, and David has them set up for the investigations to keep an eye on the house because of all the paranormal activity that happens. You can't go, 10 feet without being on camera. They're everywhere except for the bathrooms. So keep that in mind because that's how he's getting all of this content for his YouTube channel I'll talk about in a little bit. So David lets me in, we start talking, we start chatting, and he gets right into it. We only had a limited amount of time because there was someone coming later that day to film. So we had a very short time window. But so he goes right into it. He invites me over. I take a look at a couple of his art pieces that are absolutely amazing. And then I've already done my homework. I've watched every YouTube video on his channel. And it's David Oman, O-M-A-N, if you want to check it out. And I highly recommend you guys checking out David's YouTube channel. He has, I don't even know how many. He has dozens of videos. I mean, they just keep going. He's got dozens and dozens of videos. Now, do I believe them all? No. Did I try to debunk some of them? You bet your ass I did. But anyhow, so David starts showing me some of the videos. And while he's doing that, he's going over what we're looking at, where it happened in the house. And it started to click. Oh, he's doing this to set me up for what to look for while we're walking through the house, which is exactly what I wanted. One YouTube video is where the lights turn on while David's in the kitchen and his friend is standing right by the kitchen. And they just pop on. We watched the video, then we walked over and tried to recreate it. Oh, I gotta say though, the light in the kitchen that turns on when you say whatever her name is. Lillian, yeah. That, I was like, oh wait, all right, so that's in here, right?
Yeah, and you can see logistically where I was. Lillian's on this side right here.
Yeah.
Now here's the switch.
I was gonna say, where's the switch at?
One of the switches here.
What the hell?
And I'm here. Now look how far I am.
They're not LED bulbs. There's no Wi-Fi.
Well, they're LED lights, but they're dimmer switches.
That's exactly.
And I'm here, and I'm looking down, and the light, all of a sudden, the floor becomes brighter, and I'm like, and I go, Lilia, and the light switch, yeah, it can only be turned on by one light, and there's no remote control or anything like it. It's strictly a single pole.
And I think you can see this side of the wall in the video.
Yeah, the whole place.
So it's not like someone standing here going.
And it was over here. It was 3 a.m. It was just Lily and I. She's on that side cleaning up. I'm on this side putting dishes away, and it's like when I see the thing.
I wanted the locations. I wanted where it happened, who was there, when it happened, the times that it happened. And David gave all of that information to me willingly. He had no problems. He wasn't trying to hide anything. He wasn't trying to debunk anything. He wasn't trying to persuade me in any way, shape, or form. He was just showing me what to expect in the house and where to expect it. Now, like I said, I didn't believe every video on David's channel, nor did I believe every picture. I am skeptical, as you guys know, and I really hate orbs, so those didn't really do much for me, but others did stump me, I gotta say. There were some things that David showed me that I just couldn't figure out. And like I said, this was great because it gave me some things to look forward to or look for and things to try and debunk. Spoiler, I couldn't. And then David said he wanted to give me a tour of the house and was very willing to let me try to debunk things I just saw on the YouTube channel. One of the things on the YouTube channel that I wanted to debunk right away was there was a video of some Beetlejuice action figures on top of a fish tank. I was convinced that it was going to be one of 3 things. It was going to be the vibration from the fish motor, the fish pump, the water pump, if you will. Or, well, let me start this way. He let me walk right up to the fish tank, check it all out. Exactly how it was set up when this video was taken and uploaded to YouTube. It's bigger than I thought. First thing, it's way bigger than I thought. This fish tank was huge. So, it wasn't a wobbly fish tank. Check that one right off the list. 2, the action figures weren't on the edge. Nope, they were pretty deep into this thing. It's fairly deep. It's a big fish tank. 3, there were no vents right there where the air conditioning could come on and, blow an action figure over. Nope. 4, the pump. There's a water pump for a fish tank. When it comes on, it vibrates. I know, I used to have fish tanks. So I put my hand on top of the fish tank, on the side of the fish tank, everywhere. And this pump was on. It was going. Not a vibration at all. The directions that these action figures fell were not uniformed either. They didn't all fall forward. Some fell to the side, whatnot. And the time between them falling really stumped me. I gotta say, I was really stumped about this video. I'm gonna put it on our Facebook. You can check it out there. You can also go to David Oman on YouTube and watch them all there. But I gotta say, this one was the first one I thought, I'm gonna debunk this one right off the bat, and we'll go from there. Nope. I literally couldn't. There's no way that big trucks are driving up and down the street. Like I say, it's a tiny, tiny street that ends about 200, 300 feet from David's house. So that's not the instance either. The house is also very solidly built. I didn't feel anything while I was in this house. And I was kind of worried too, I gotta say. This is the first time I was ever on a house on the side of a cliff. I didn't know what to make of it. I didn't know how safe I was gonna feel. After David showed me some construction photos and videos, I gotta say, this house is solid. These pylons, or whatever you want to call them, these metal beams that come across on each floor are huge. It's anchored into the ground below the house and to the wall of the house, to the cliff side of the house. So there was no vibration from the house either that could cause these Beetlejuice action figures to do what they do. But like I said, so David started giving me a tour of the house, and throughout the house, he would let me examine stuff, pick up stuff, move stuff, trying to recreate or debunk things. One of the videos, this was through, once we got into the actual house itself, I believe it's the theater room. One of the videos that David has on his channel is of a teddy bear falling to the ground from a shelf as a paranormal investigator's walking by. Well, he let me walk up to it, touch it, feel it, move it, do whatever I wanted to it, stomp up and down on the ground right in front of it, walking through it. Again, I was looking for drafts. I was looking for a loose floorboard. I was looking for anything that could explain what happened. There was a door right by the teddy bear, and he moved stuff out of the way. He opened up the door and showed me that it was the stairwell that went up and down the side of the house. So you can go to pretty much any level of the house from the side of the house instead of going through the house and the main stairwell. So we're only minutes into this tour, and 2 for 2, I can't debunk them. It was really interesting. I'm going to pause right here to say, honestly, again, I'm not getting paid for this. Honestly, if you like the paranormal, you need to go to this house. And you can go to the house. David does a monthly or every other month paranormal night, and the next one is October 13th. I know it's coming up real quick, but if you're in the LA area, or if you can get to the LA area on October 13th, you should go to this. It's not a guided, shoulder-to-shoulder, no way you're going to see anything, 30-minute tour. Nope. This is a 7-hour, feel free to investigate tour that has yielded amazing paranormal results in the past. And these are what those videos are on YouTube. 99% of these videos are from these nights. It does seem that this house is always active, and it does seem that the house gets more active when people are there. So apart from a private tour like the one I did, this is the best way to ghost hunt any site in LA that I know of. The Winchester house, it's fun, it's great, but you're herded like cattle throughout the house. You can't just go off and investigate. You can't take your time. It is a guided tour. It's got an hour, maybe 2, and then get the hell out. That's not this. This is 7 hours with food, with drinks, and from what David showed me, it is quite the spread, too. So it might be worth the $99 just to go for the food and drinks alone. But anyhow, like I said, I'm not getting paid. Honestly, go to the Oman, O-M-A-N, theomanhouse.com. Get a ticket. It's the perfect way to get into the Halloween spirit. But anyhow, back to my time with David. So I brought 3 trusty things with me. First one was my 5-hour battery HD camera. This is a camera that I've used hundreds of times on red carpets, at parties, during investigations. It has never failed me once. I think you know where I'm going with this. So we're about 30 minutes into this tour, if that. We stopped, we're chatting, I'm listening to him tell this fantastic story when I noticed that the camera is getting insanely hot. It's the first time it's ever done this. Insanely hot. Then, the battery instantly drains. 30 minutes in, the battery's dead on my camera that I wanted to use to go through the entire house. Next thing I brought with me was my very trusty pocket voice recorder. It's very tiny. It's literally just a voice recorder. It's a digital voice recorder, which showed working the entire time. The red light was on. I could see the counter going. Showed it working perfectly. Here's the problem. After the investigation, when I got to my car, I wanted to do another file for like cliff notes. Talk about this, mention that. This was neat. Check this out. That kind of stuff. So I'm going through the files. File 1, File 2, File 3, File 4, File 5. File 6 should have been this hour-plus long walkthrough of the house. And it was gone. File 7 was my little Cliff Notes thing. So the recorder's working fine, but File 6, gone. Just disappeared. It's the only time I've ever lost a file using this voice recorder. And I gotta say, between the camera and that alone is enough to make me go, okay, there's definitely paranormal activity. It was not user error. I use these things all the time. File 7 was there. File 6 just gone. So it's not user error at all. I can't explain what happened to this file. So I start to drive down. I'm gonna jump back into the tour of the house. Don't worry about it. I want to continue this story for a second. So I start to drive down the drive. I'm leaving the house. My voice recorder is acting all wonky. I get to Benedict Canyon, which isn't far, maybe a mile, probably less. And I pull out that video recorder that I was just talking about, my little HD camera that had a drained battery. While I was in the house, right before the interview, after it had died, I pulled it out. I tried to turn it on. Nope, drained battery. It was dead as a doornail. Well, right in front of Benedict Canyon, in my car sitting there, it turned on, and it turned on to a full battery. Now, I know some of you skeptics are going to say, well, for whatever reason, the battery got way too hot while it was playing or while it was recording, and then it just needed time to cool off, and then the battery started again. No. The time between when it died and when I checked it before the interview was 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. It was cool to the touch. There was nothing wrong with it. It was a dead battery. The time from then to Benedict Canyon was probably another half an hour, and it was cool to the touch still, fully charged and working perfectly. I cannot explain what happened to my electronics other than saying this house or something in this house messed with my electronics like I have never seen before. I didn't bring an EMF detector or a digital thermometer because I much prefer just kind of exploring and looking and recording to other gadgets that some say are pretty hokey. I do believe in EMF detectors. I do believe there's something there, and obviously digital thermometers are a thing that are real and proven, but I wanted to go on a guided tour with David through his house, just recording with my camera and then recording with my digital voice recorder to see if I got different things from the digital voice recorder to the camera and etc. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case at all. The third thing I brought, because I said I had three, third thing I brought was my laptop with my microphone. I left it in the kitchen, turned it on, hit record, because I wanted to see if I got any EVPs while we were out walking through the house, while we're walking through the other levels of the house. So I hit record on the laptop, it was working, and the laptop turned off after 18 minutes with no explanation. I don't have an auto off feature, and if I did, 18 minutes is not the time frame for that. So I still have yet to go through the EVPs. I'm going to do that after I record this part of the episode. Basically, what I'm going to do is, just to give you guys an idea what this episode is going to be like, I'm going to tell you my experiences. I'm going to intersplice it with some of David's stories while we were chatting. Then I'm going to do the interview. Then I'm going to listen to the stuff that I have recorded to see if I can hear any EVPs and add that to the end of the interview. I'm not saying there's going to be EVPs, but if there are, that's where it's going to be. So back to the tour with David. So David starts the tour. We go down this spiral stairwell, and we went down to what he calls the doors hallway. David has, like I said earlier, he has an incredible art collection, a John Lennon piece that just blew my mind that is my dream to own. And he stopped. He stopped because he was experiencing something in the hallway. He was acting like he had a headache, or there was oh God, this is pretty intense. And I'll play the video for you in just a minute, or I'll play the audio for you in just a minute. But I was seriously skeptical about that until I walked about 6 feet down the hallway to the right. No joke, I can't explain it. The hair on my arms stood straight up, like Spidey sense straight up. And the only way I could describe it was that I felt electrified. So I'm going to play a little clip from that now. Take a listen. You're going to hear me have my mind blown because I cannot explain what was happening to me. And it was only one direction of the hallway. The other was way less. But when I went to the right, I felt electric. It's the only way I can describe it. Take a listen to this.
Take a step up here. It's a little bit charged. Oh yeah, take a walk down the end.
You're not kidding, man.
Take a walk down the end and feel if it gets more intense towards the doorway. And try not to look at so much the optics of it, because yes, it does. It's not an optical illusion. It really is getting narrower a little bit towards that side. But that's not it. That's not it. You can close your eyes and walk down it and not have the peripheral vision.
You can feel it.
You'll still feel the energy in this gosh darn right here, and there's no fucking explanation.
Dude, I was going to say, man, I can feel it. And my arms are standing up. Just from walking, 6 feet?
Doesn't matter. It's right now. It's charged. It's just like,
good
I can feel my head starting to spin. I'm getting a goddamn dizzy headache from standing here right now. And no, this isn't constant. This is it goes from neutral, from nothing, to intense beyond repair, and there's no explanation for time, anything. It's just, it's literally when you take a step down, you'll notice the difference. It starts.
You're not
and
wrong.
Take a walk down this way, the other side, because it's intense on that. It's different energies on both sides.
What the hell?
Yeah, it's wow. Thanks, spirits. I appreciate it. My God, you're hot today.
Okay, next up was that teddy bear room that I was talking about earlier. Like I said, David let me try and debunk it any way I wanted. We both stomped. I checked the shelf. It was sturdy. He let me knock on the wall, do anything I wanted, including opening the door. And it was a door to the outside. So take a listen to this. This is from the teddy bear to going outside.
That's
where it was.
That's Teddy. That's the teddy bear. That's obviously touching, etc. He's just a fucking teddy bear.
Now, me walking doesn't do crap, and he was over here, which would be even,
Stamp.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You notice where you're standing on? This is that steel I-beam I showed.
Oh, no kidding.
Because you can feel it.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah.
Rock,
Yeah.
you go here.
It's hollow.
The hollow,
Yeah.
And right here.
Dude, so there's no way.
Here. It's right under my foot right here is the steel I-beam. As a matter of fact, that is where it is because I remember we put it in. It's right next to that post. So that goes right across here. So this is where this Ferris cage effect comes in, that there's a steel I-beam here.
Next up, we went to the earthen room. Now, the earthen room is one of my favorite rooms in the house. The only way I can describe it is, remember, this house is built into the side of a cliff. So imagine 3 walls of the house with a door. You walk in, you got 2 walls, you got the wall with the door, but the 4th wall is the side of the mountain. It's just earth. It is, you can see a stump, you can see dirt, you can go up and touch it. It is dirt. It's really interesting. I don't know why it's there, to be honest with you. But anyhow, so we went to the earthen room, and he let me try to debunk the wine rack video. And the wine rack video is a video that's on YouTube of these 2 guys. They walk into the room. One of the guys really blocking the camera, and you just want to pull him away from the camera if you could. But while they're doing it, this guy steps up, and when he steps up, a wine bottle jumps, is the best way I can describe it, out of the wine rack onto the ground, about a foot away from it. Let me say, yes, there is a loose board, but when you step on this loose board, it shakes the entire rack, which I don't see in the video at all. Now, I will say the guy, again, is blocking the camera, so I don't know what to make of this. This one, I can't say is 100% paranormal. I can't say it's not, because I tried to recreate it. Even with me basically jumping on the loose board, the most I got was rattling the hell out of the rack, and no wine bottles jumped a foot off the rack onto the ground. In the video, he takes 1 step up, and the wine bottle jumps out about a foot away from the wine rack. I cannot explain this video.
So it's literally built above that. So that's why you feel that energy is coming through that concrete, reinforced concrete. Now, but you heard, but you hear it,
exactly,
and it shakes and it moves.
It shook all of them, which it didn't do in the video.
And the kids are standing on that.
Yeah, even if he did that,
but stand on that. He's standing on that, and that doesn't do anything. Now here's the other thing. Here's the bottle of wine. If he comes out, it stops there. If it comes to here, it has to go all the way to half the way over.
Jesus, and even that, you pulled it, and it didn't go as far.
Right. So again, it has to be pulled out to get to a point. It was standing like that.
Another YouTube video from the earthen room was about a cutting board that jumped on its own. It spun and it jumped on its own. And I was really interested in trying to debunk that one. So take a listen.
In here just as a backup.
Is this the board?
Yeah, go pick it up.
Holy crap.
Literally pick it up.
How the hell could you flip it?
It was on a television set that was there. This is news since that time that was shot. But the point is not that. It's the fact that that's the board. It weighs 10 solid pounds.
And I thought this was going to be an empty room.
It was. At the time when that was taking place, this was all storage. There was a 19-inch television set which this sat upon on top of it, and it was literally, this is how much was sticking off.
This wall wasn't here, or it was?
Let me see. The wall was there, but it wasn't developed the way it is now.
So there's no way for me to, again, hide where he wouldn't notice walking in right here. I'd have to be hiding literally here, and you're not going to see
There's all
me.
storage. There were boxes here anyways at the time. And this wasn't here, but there were just boxes, and that's why there was a television set here. This is on the TV set. As you noticed in the video, this is how much is hanging over the TV.
Yeah.
Well, look how much more you've got here, and this has got no ability to do this. You can't do this.
Or how the fuck is
do
it spinning?
Exactly. It didn't. It couldn't. It's impossible. So if it's sitting like this, there's your angle. So where this was,
and he was alone.
He was alone.
He walked in.
This, and he does this, and it spins off, and it was spun this way and down right to there.
There's literally no way that he could cause that. That moving would cause that.
And he was alone in this room, and there were other people in there. And later on, they came in and said, "Oh my God! Well, thank God they got a camera." They goes, "Oh, they do have a camera there. You're right." So he's saying, "Let's watch the camera." It's like,
dude, I can't explain any of this.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it is wacky shit.
I am pulled to the earthen room, and I don't know why. There's just something about this room that, if I had gotten a chance, I would have sat alone in there and done an EVP session in a heartbeat. It's very cave-like. It's very quiet in there. And something about it screams that I need to go back and do a full-blown investigation there. I don't believe that a Native American and his horse was buried into the side of the mountain like Zach Baggins from Ghost Adventures say. I don't believe that at all. But there is something spiritual about it, and I can't quite explain it. Maybe because I'm in a house and one of the walls is earth. And that's just weird. Maybe it's just that. I don't know. I can't explain it. Okay, from here, let me skip ahead to the interview section. My time was running out with David, like I said, so I wanted to ask him a few questions. There were a ton more I could ask him, and probably will. He said I was welcome to come back anytime, and I'm taking him up on that. Besides the fact that I'm taking him up on going on October 13th. So if you guys want to go and investigate with me, well, on October 13th, I'll be at the Oman house. I'm going to make sure it's going to be a blast because I can't wait for this. But anyhow, so here's the interview I did with David. Only a few questions I could get in, but there we go. Like a 5-hour battery that is never drained ever yet.
Welcome to this house.
Jesus. First of all, thank you for showing me the house and for inviting me over. I cannot thank you enough, man. I really can't.
It's my pleasure, please. I have no problem with that. I like sharing my experiences in the house with people. And I don't charge, when am I charging people to come to see the house? It's like, no, when we have the team and the investigators and Lilia, the psychic here, and then the food and everything and all the shit that's going on.
And that's
when it costs money. But still, like I said, and this thing pulls out to,
Man,
it pulls out big, and like I said, this thing is food from one side to the other, so it makes a difference. It's like, you don't have to spend anything for food. It's like, no, it's all there. It's all included.
So what was your first personal experience that you had in the house?
During the construction.
Really? Right from the get-go?
Right from the get-go. Right when we bought the lot, it was almost like, my dad calls me up. It's late November 1998. Sunday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, calling me and saying, get up. I said, what? He goes, I found a lot. I'm like, what? He goes, I'm looking in the Sunday papers, like the classifieds. I found a lot. It's $40,000. I'm like, 40,000? I said, where? He goes, it's in Beverly Hills. I said, in Beverly Hills. I said, how can a lot for $40,000 be possible? I said, that's ridiculous, Pops. I said, I can't believe that, 40,000. He goes, well, look, meet me over here, blah, 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 and we'll take a look. So I came up to the place on my own. He arrives 20 minutes later, and I'm looking at the end of the drive going, that's where the Sharon Tate house was. I haven't been here since 78, 79. When my freshman year in high school, people used to come up here to see the house, and I got thrown in with some friends. Yeah, but it's, again, when the gate was there, and there are famous pictures of the gate. It was a chain link fence, and on the left side, it was a wooden plank fence. And the only thing you could see was the driveway.
Sure.
Because the house was tucked to the right of the entrance of the house. So it's kind of like going, can't really do anything with that. It doesn't really make any sense. So, but everybody was smoking and drinking their beers and stuff. And I'm like the only one who walks up to the fence and it's like, I can't do anything. I feel like I'm standing on hallowed ground, and we had all read Helter Skelter. So it was, this is like taking the narrative of the book and the story, which is all nonfiction, and going right to where it all went down, ground zero. And I'm like, oh my God. And I said, I got to bow my head. It was almost compelled. I was compelled to like lower my head in honor of them and say, I'm sorry for the fact that you all died. I'm sorry. I'm just wanting you to know, I just feel badly for you all, blah, 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 blah. I'm really sorry. And that's about where I left it. And it was like, I could just feel like I was accepted. In some way, I just felt different. Because everyone else was just cracking open beers and drinking and smoking and hanging out and talking. And I'm like, okay, fine. But you guys, show some respect for the dead.
I was just going to say, they disrespected it where you didn't.
Yeah, and that's kind of like how it felt to me. So I basically left it at that. We went about our business. I finally tried to find it a couple times on my own. I never could find my way here. And it was like, there was like 2 private driveways or 3 private driveways. All it would have taken was for me to drive up, go to the end and say, there it is. I, for some reason, never managed to do that. And so basically that was it. So then, like I said, 20 years later, or 19 years later, in 1998, my dad calls me and I come up here and I'm like, oh my God, this is where I'm at. And I looked in and he says, this is the lot. And it was literally, as you saw in the pictures, it was just overgrown. But I noticed that there was some pieces of steel rebar that were sitting on top of the earth. And I'm going, and he comes over, I said, I said, that's where the Tate murders take place. And my dad's response was classic, which was, I don't give a good goddamn about the Tate murders. I'm here to look at this freaking piece of property. What do I give a shit about something that happened 35, 40 years ago? Who cares less? We're here to look at this piece of property. We focus? Come on, focus. I'm like going, all right. I said, Dad, am I kidding myself or do I see? I said, he goes, yeah. As a matter of fact, I was told that there's rebar that they'd started construction on this property and they got stopped by the city. And I'm like going, when? He goes, I said, looking by the rust that's accumulated on the rebar sticking out of the ground. I said, it looks like it's been some time, Dad. And he goes, well, the bank's foreclosed on it, and that's who's selling it. It's like, wow, $40,000. I said, and they got the case on it. And he says, yeah. He goes, this could be a steal because we could build on this. And I'm like, my dream come true. Building a house with my father and being able to design it from the ground up and actually putting my blood, sweat, and tears into it, just like he did with my sister. And just like he did with the house that I grew up in, that he built some 50 years ago, that I was, when I was born, I was born into that house. And it was something that he had done. And he was always going out with him on construction jobs and different places that he was building houses in through my lifetime. So it was like, my sister, I shouldn't be any less favored than my sister if she's going to build a house with her. Christ, because that's what he did with her 25 years ago or more. And I said, this could actually happen. I was like, wow, it's going to happen. So we bought the lot in January of 1999, and for the next three and a half years, finished it in 2002 in August. On the 30th, I actually moved in, and it was just like, glad to finally be in here. And like I said, during construction, first, like I said, when we first came, it was just like weird. I felt like it feels weird. It feels homely. It feels right.
Oh, okay.
Well, because I grew up in the hills, it's about 4 miles due west here in Bel Air, and I love being in nature and having the animals and having the deer and the wildlife outside the door. I lived in the city, in the flats for a number of years, for 15 years, and I hated it.
No kidding.
I just didn't enjoy having an apartment and having people on top of me, to the left of me, to the right of me, and just that much condensed activity and the concrete jungle. Thank you, Sharon. It felt like a concrete jungle. So it's just like, even though it was a sweet deal and it was a cheap deal because it was a hand-me-down from my sister who had rented it out in 1976 when she was in college, and it just sat there for a year where she used it for storage. And I said, look, how much are you paying? She goes, I'm paying $750 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment.
Jesus.
And I said, crap, that's ridiculous. Everything else is $1,000, $1,500 for a 1-bedroom. So I took over her lease and I had a roommate, and it was like, I said, even though I'm paying next to nothing, I hate it. I don't like the fact that I'm just there's just no sense of nature. I didn't really care. So coming up here was like a respite and an escape to the environment that I was grew up in, I was familiar with, and I loved the deer, the hawks, and whatnot that are out, and the crows. And so that's what it was like looking forward to it. So I don't think that the possibility of moving into a haunted house would have in any way affected my appreciation for the area and the environment and the location and the setting to the point where I would have been a ghost. I'm freaking. I was like, oh, screw that. I said, look, from what I've been living, ghosts don't bother me. The living do. So I'm not really concerned about somebody that's dead that was once alive that's hanging out in my house because, if you treat them with respect, the theory I hold is they'll have to treat you with respect. It's mutual.
That's what I hold as well. And like I was telling you earlier about my ghost, that's exactly how I treat them. Like, who am I to say, what the hell are you doing here? It's not my place.
No, I didn't say that. I said respect.
No.
I didn't say ass kiss.
Oh, no,
and
no.
I don't mean like that. I mean like because I've yelled at them and I've gotten very, 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 very upset on one very special occasion when I remember it's got to be 10 years ago now. Jesus Christ! I got an electric bill, and the electric bill was $800, I think. And my usual electric bill at the time was about $200 for 2 months. This is $800 for 2 months, and I flipped out. And I opened up the letter here about looking at standing in front of the dining room table. I open up the bill, and I go, $1,000? What the flying the fuck is going? $800 for electric usage. What the son of that? It's like, I haven't been using the electricity in the house for the past 2 months in excess. I haven't done anything out of the ordinary in the past 2 months for the electricity. However, I had noted that on one occasion where the cordless telephone base sits here. At the time, the cordless telephone base sat over there near the bar. And during one day during that month, the 2 months, I remember distinctly being in the kitchen and I was working on making some lunch and I heard a pop. And it was coming from over this area. I didn't know what it was. It was like, bang! And I'm like, what the fuck? I heard that. I was like thinking it's paranormal. I was like, what the hell was that? 2.5, 3 hours later, I get a call from my friend on my cell phone saying, hey, what's the matter? I said, I can't. I said, why are you calling the cell phone? He goes, your telephone's not answering. And I'm like, what? He goes, I can barely. He goes, get to find cell reception where you can stand and you can talk to me. He goes, your telephone's not working. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I've called you 3 times in the past hour and no way. That's just rings. I said, what? So I go to the base and I look and it has a GFI, which is the ground. GFI it has a resistor in it for the plug. So you put these resistor plugs near any water, an outlet near water must have by code a resistor that can automatically shut off if water gets into it.
Makes sense.
Well, I haven't been in that bar the whole day, and I hadn't used the sink. So when I went to the phone and picked up the phone, it was dead. I looked at the GFI resistor on the wall, the socket, and it had been tripped off. And I said, wait a second. 3 hours earlier when I heard that pop, and the resistors are quiet. They don't make a sound. They just there's a light on them. The little LED light goes green when it's not on, to turn it back on. This wasn't the case. It was blown. I had to replace the actual GFI, the actual wall plug, because it was blown. And I'm like going, what? And then I looked, I said, you sons of bitches. I said, you blew the goddamn GFI. I said, I haven't been in there all day. I haven't used the faucet. I don't use that faucet. I always use the faucet in the sink in the kitchen because I don't need to dirty up a tiny little bar faucet and the bar sink. So it was like, what the fuck? And then I remembered that there was another time when another electrical outlet had an issue. And I thought to myself, oh my God. I said, the ghost of the bastard's been soaking up the goddamn electricity and fucking with it. And I went down the hall, downstairs, down the second floor hallway to the end of the laundry room to the cinder block wall area. And I basically went ballistic. And I screamed, and I famously screamed this. I said, excuse me, to all those who are here but are not in the physical form, I'm holding in my right hand an electric bill. It is 4 times the amount of my usual electric bill over the past 2 months. Now, nothing has changed in the usage. I didn't get any pieces of equipment. I don't have any special equipment that's draining electricity. I haven't had any photo shoots here using the electricity. I said, so I am knowing exactly who it is I'm calling out. I said, I am furious. I said, I know that you guys don't have pants. And I said, yeah, I know you guys don't have wallets. I said, I know this because you don't have pants. And because you don't have pants, you don't have a place to put your wallet. And because you don't have wallets, this is coming out of my hide and out of my fucking wallet. And you're going to bankrupt me. I said, I'm the goddamn best thing that's ever happened to you guys. And I'm the only one that lets you.
There's a shadow that just went by that door.
That's impossible.
No.
Yes, it is. There's nothing in there. That's a bathroom. There's no one in there.
Dude, because you can see a little bit of that
course,
light.
I can see the light.
Yeah.
Right.
All of a sudden that light went away. Someone walked right by
That's
it.
impossible.
Wow.
Yeah, they're here. They're letting you know they're here. Of course.
Yeah.
Because they love the
And
story.
as you say, you're
they
telling
love
them.
this fucking story. So I said, you goddamn sons of bitches. I started getting amped up. I said, I can't afford this. You're going to send me to the fucking poorhouse, and I am the best thing that's ever happened to you. He said, not only do you owe me a debt of gratitude, my father and mother, I said, mother who's passed away at the time, I said, you owe us a debt of gratitude. I said, before you had nothing but a fucking vacant lot. And at the time there wasn't a house. I said, and I pointed in this direction. I said, right south of, right next door, there's a piece of real estate that looked just like this did before. We spent 3.75 years building this house. I said, so you sons of bitches are really an ungrateful lot. I said, I'm fuming, fucking pissed off. I can't stand you, blah, blah, blah. I said, you know something? I said, I am going to go out there and find the world's greatest exorcists and paranormal experts and have you exorcised and removed from this house if you don't, gosh darn, cease and desist this behavior, because I can't afford this. I said, meantime, I'm going to have to make a payment schedule to the frickin' DWG.
Oh, Jesus.
I said, this is going to break my ass. I said, you really know how to sock it to me. I said, I know you're all, I heard laughter in the room. I said, I know you're all laughing. Ha, ha, ha. I said, but mark my words, I will get that world's greatest psychic and exorcist and have you run the fuck out of here so goddamn fast it'll make your head spin off into puffs of smoke. I'm just that pissed off. And ever since then, not a goddamn fucking time since.
No way.
And I swear to God, I kid you not, it's like when, people going, and you yelled, it's like, and people like say, you've got audacity. I said, the fuck I do. I said, I respect them and they respect me. And said, they can't respect me. Fuck them. I said, I'm pissed off. And I said, this is something that I can't deal with because I can deal with the spirit. I don't give a shit. There's a ghost manifest in front of me. Whoop-de-fucking-do. What are you going to do to me? You're going to walk through me? Oh, wow. What are you going to do? Because it's the truth. I am the Larry David of the paranormal field.
I love that.
Because it's the truth. I don't play this ghost. And I said, you can go scream and yell all you fucking want. But if ghosts are real, where are you going to run? This isn't like Superman and he can hide in a lead box, or these are x-rays and they can't penetrate lead and you're going to put yourself in a lead box. A ghost? He can go wherever he fucking wants. And they don't wear balls and chains to walk around and go, ooh,
exactly.
Ooh. I said, you really think they spent 10,000 light years to cross from one plane of existence to this one, to sit there and to go, boo? You really think that's what a ghost wants to do? I said, let me set your ass straight. Ghosts have no more interest in hurting you than the gosh darn wind or lightning wants to hurt you. I said, if a tornado happens, it's indiscriminately running you over. I said, a ghost is like energy, which is like a tornado or lightning. It's indiscriminate. It's not picking and choosing you. I said, furthermore, I got better stories for you. I said, I know of 5 people whose untimely demise were met at the end of the street. I know of 4 of those murderers that are sitting and rotting in jail, and Manson, who were in there for 40 some odd years. And 23 hours a day, they were pretty much in that jail room, in their cell.
Yeah.
You going to tell me that a ghost wouldn't take it out on those people that put them in the grave and killed them with such horrendous malice and less than contemptuous thoughts for their life? That these people don't have an axe and a half to grind with the people that put them in the grave, that they'd have the perfect, most beautiful opportunity to wreak havoc upon them while they're sitting in their goddamn jail cell and they have nowhere to run, they can't hide, they're right there for them to be molested and tormented for the rest of their living days. I don't recall Susan Atkins, Patricia Krenwinkel, Leslie Van Houten, Linda Kasabian or Charles Manson or Tex Watson ever complaining of the spirits of the victims beating them belligerently, torturing them, harassing them, or in any way, shape, or form affecting their lives.
Oh, yeah.
So for you to say to me that there's a ghost haunting me, I'm like, really? You've got an ego the size of fucking Texas.
Seriously.
Because Really? There's a ghost that's trying to hurt you? Oh, wow, you really are special. I'm talking about scratched by spirits. Really, you didn't do this, honey, and scratch yourself and go, oh, look.
I just debunked that on a couple episodes ago. Yep. I said, everybody take your arm, scratch it, wait a couple of seconds, now film it. Right. Look at that. It's coming right up. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now you mentioned Manson. Did any of the activity increase, change at all when he died? Nothing, huh? I
hate to have answered that.
No.
You said it.
Nope.
But it's like I've heard it so many times.
I guarantee
before.
Yeah.
It's like, well, the house is. I said, what? You think Charlie Manson's going to be coming back here?
No.
I said he only came here a couple times once after the murders, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And that was, and he actually another myth of the Sharon Tate murders is he knew Sharon was living there. He came to the house in March of '69 when she had just moved in and she was doing a photo shoot with a famous Iranian photographer. And Manson came running looking for Terry Melcher to talk to him to try to get set back up with the Beach Boys and Brian Wilson.
Yep.
And Terry had moved out in February with Candice Bergen. And Candice had told Sharon that they're moving out and that they can rent the house now. And Sharon had always expressed the desire to live here because to her this was her dream house with the wonderful little wishing well in the front of the house, in the backyard, and the view. She loved it.
Huh.
And a swimming pool, she said. She loved that. So Manson actually came back, went knocking on the door in mid-March. He couldn't get any answer from the front door, so he went around the backyard and towards the back gate, and that's when the Iranian photographer accosted Manson at the gate, and they started arguing about it. And Sharon came around and told Manson point blank that Sharon and Roman were living there and that Terry and Candice had moved out a month earlier. So he, in fact, did know that Sharon was there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, misidentification of the premises. No, he knew who was there.
Huh.
And he wanted her dead just because he wanted, as I believed it was revenge, and I call it the spurned lover theory. He was bandied around by Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys in Hollywood to all the different rock groups.
Yeah.
Everybody knew them. Greg Allman knew him. I do believe that Stephen Stills met him and Graham Nash met him, and that they all thought that he was a crazy cat, an interesting character, and might have something with some of his lyrics. And what happened was that by dumb luck, Brian Wilson was the producer of the album Pet Sounds, which took off and was a huge, huge success, and basically reinvigorated his career to the masses in the media, in the music industry, and everybody that was an artist wanted him, just like 10 years earlier or 5 years earlier, everybody wanted, what's-his-face, for the Wall of Sound. Phil Spector.
Oh, Phil Spector, yeah.
So once Phil Spector came out with one album, with one group, everybody said, I love that sound, I want that. Well, everybody decided that the flavor of the day, so to speak, became Brian Wilson because of what he produced on Pet Sounds.
Sure.
It was such a groundbreaking album at the time that everybody wanted him to be producing their albums.
Sure.
And unfortunately, Brian had promised Manson, or told Manson, that he had some interesting lyrics that Brian was thinking of developing into and using in some songs and creating some songs around them. And when Brian Wilson got busy, Manson started coming on harder and harder to Brian Wilson about, let's get this project done, and harassing and haranguing Brian Wilson to the point where Brian said, man, you're appearing at the recording studio unannounced, you're bugging the crap out of me at the home, you just won't leave me alone, I'm done with you, whatever I promised you, it's done, it's over, it's history, we're finished, we're through. Which sent Manson into a wild tailspin, at which point he started reaching out to Terry Melcher, and of course Terry was no longer there, and Brian basically cut, Charlie off.
Yeah.
And that basically pissed Manson off, threw him into a tailspin, and he mentally went down the rabbit hole because he saw his ultimate dream and goal of becoming a professional musician, singer-songwriter, and it had been taken away from him.
Yeah.
And it was only because of his own inability to hold his shit and deal with the time of the fact that Brian's going to have time, but just not now. And if he would have been able to hold tight and wait for Brian to ride the crest of the success of Pet Sounds and doing people's albums, he would have been able to succeed and possibly become the singer-songwriter he wished to be and not the murderous jailbird that he turned into.
You are cool, in my opinion, cool enough to allow people to come and investigate this house.
Yeah, I do. I've ever since the episode of Ghost Adventures aired 4 years ago, I've run publicly open tours of the house, investigations, anywhere from, they were about 7 hours long, from 8 in the evening, about 2 in the morning, 6 to 7 hours.
I was just going to say, they're not like a 10-minute thing. You let people go through. Now, do you escort them, or do they have...
No, we give them a tour of the house to start things off. There are people that are here that are experienced paranormal investigators that have been here before, that have decided to help, that want to join in on the tours and stuff and guide people through. We give them the walk through the house, the history of the area, the history of the house, the photographs, the video. We go through the house, and then they can basically, after that, we have a seance down on the third level at a certain time of the night. Anyone can participate. And then, like I said, we let them walk through and investigate. And if they have any questions, we have different investigators that are here through the house that can basically give them advice and explain to them what's going on, what they're feeling, And what's wonderful is the whole house is canvassed with the cameras.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you got the 3 cameras in that room. We have 3 cameras in the den. We have cameras in the hallway, in the earthen wall room. There are 2 cameras in the guest bedroom. There's 2 cameras in the theater room. There's 2 cameras in the stairwell. There's a camera. So they're picking up audio files. They're picking up the audio recordings and the video and in infrared.
And the stuff that I see that I saw on your YouTube, it looks like correct me if I'm wrong. It looks like the majority of it was found during these investigations. So this house is active all the time.
Oh, yeah. It's 24/7, 365 days a year. It is never... spirits, as I just heard, we don't take a holiday. What are you kidding me? We, first of all, don't have calendars. So how the hell do we know it's a freaking holiday? There is no holiday where we are coming from, they said. And there's no such thing as a time. Is it 3 o'clock in the morning, the witching hour? It's like, no, ghosts don't wear watches. They don't have wrist watches. They don't have pocket watches. They don't really give a crap. Day, night, or day. I'm just curious if the REM pod's still... All right, you are on. Oh, but you're not up tall. All right, stop that. Just shut up. Thank you.
That's amazing.
All right, it's a great device. Let's go with that.
Now, the earthen room, there was 2 spots when we were walking around the house. There was the hallway that no joke, hair on my arms stood up. I felt electric. And then the earthen room. What made you choose to leave the earthen room earthen?
Oh, that's, again, first of all, I want to explain something to debunk the myth that I bought this property, build this house because I wanted to be close to Sharon Tate. Nothing could be further from the truth. It was a financial bonus that my father found a lot, and it was important.
Kurt here. The knocking that you just heard was the camera crew for the next gig that was coming in, so my time was running out very quickly.
Sorry about that.
No worries at all.
That's from the whatchamacallit. So that's from the August.
Yeah.
Take the card, and obviously the 13th of October is what it is.
That's what I was going to say.
Because everything else is going to the Oman House. The website's still the same, etc.
Excellent.
So as we were talking
about the earthen room. What made you decide to leave it earthen?
So my dad, like I said back to the story about buying the lot, he wanted to turn the 3rd level into a goddamn apartment. And I said, Dad, I spent all this time and energy designing the electricity for the wiring and the speaker wires because all that was embedded, and I put all the speakers and the telephone jacks in throughout the house. And I said, this is a theater room. I'm not planning on making this into an apartment. And he goes, well, if you're not making this an apartment, then I don't see any reason to turn this earthen room, as it wasn't called then, this room, the storage room, into a kitchenette. And I said, what? He goes, yeah, I'm turning this into a kitchenette to support this floor as a separate part of the house. I said, the hell are you talking about? I said, we're not doing that. He goes, well, if you're not going to agree to that, then I'm not putting in the kitchenette. And you're going to have to deal with that in your own time. It's like, oh, screw that, Dad. I said, I'm not going to turn this up to no kitchenette. So literally it stayed as a, the earthen room as the storage room until about 4 years ago.
Just lit up blue.
Blue means that the ambient temperature is getting colder.
Kurt here again. There's a thermopod that's between us. It goes off. It registers like an EMF detector, and it started to actually go off and light up different colors. That's what you're hearing.
And if it goes red, that means it's the ambient temperature is getting warmer. If it's doing nothing, it means we're having no change in temperature.
Huh.
And that's literally around that antenna as well.
Yeah.
Which is strange because it shouldn't be changing. It's not, I don't feel any wind or anything.
No.
So basically 4 years ago, after living here for 12 years, I came into some money. My dad's estate finally cleared out. And I said, fine, now I'm going to make this into a gas tank kitchenette. And I hired my contract labor, and he went there and he says, you're not going to close this. I said, not now. I'm not going to close the earth area. I said, leave it alone. And we actually dug in 3 feet, and you notice where the walls.
Kurt here. I have no idea what caused that. That's a first for me.
Where it cuts like this, that's because when Zach Baggins came, the earth came right to that plank. And I said, what I want to do is I want to make it wider, so we excavated out that section of earth. And that's why the earthen wall room remains as the earthen wall room on that side, because there's been so many people's experiences in there, even with the kitchenette. It's still a very, very active part of the house. And I don't see any point in having to bother sealing it. It's not like I have an infestation of ants or insects coming in through the dirt. It's quite honestly, it's become a point of humor.
And the water doesn't get in or anything. That's amazing. That room, like I said, I don't know why.
It's got a great feel.
It does. It really does. It's something about it. Well, I'm definitely going to tell everybody about the event on the 13th because
they will. People said there's too many people said spirits don't work on the theory that you come up with. I said spirits like the attention.
Sure.
Because being the fact that I live here by myself and there's so little interaction outside of me, they know me like the back of their hand. And it gets a little dull and boring. So they're always looking for some part of the expression, new blood to come in. Because what it is that because the house has got such elevated DC EMF levels, as I have seen, when people come in, the spirits around each and every one of us hit this environment. They're like, oh my God, I can walk. I can push objects. I can move things. I can speak. I can be heard. And they love it. So when people come in, it's like we've done seances and done EVP sessions during the seances, and they have the recorders on the table during one famous seance. And I said, stop the recorders. And the 2 psychics who are friends of mine said, no, we're not stopping. I said, stop the frickin' seance. I heard a man's voice. They pick up the first of the 3 digital recorders on the table, and the first thing they hear 10 seconds in is let it go, mija. And I said, play the second recorder. Same point on the recording, and the same voice comes up. Third recorder, same thing. The closed-circuit television camera recorded it. The guy with the video camera who was videoing it for himself heard it. The girl at the end of the table was burst into tears, and she goes, that's my dad.
Whoa.
And she goes, I haven't been able to get over his death in the past 4 years since he died.
Oh, wow. So it's not...
So the spirit speaking was directly connected to her, telling her, as her father, her spirit saying to him, let it go, mija, go on with your life. It's okay.
So it's not just the same spirits.
It has very little to do with Sharon Tate. People I believe see Sharon Tate said, unless you knew Sharon or your relative knew Sharon or there's a connection between you and Sharon Tate, somebody that you don't know is most likely not going to work the energy levels to make your day.
Yeah.
They're not here because you're their biggest fan. Who's it flying?
Exactly.
They're a spirit. They have better things to do than to piss around with you who didn't know them. But your relative, your best friend, your childhood friend who died, whoever is there in spirit form that's around you, they can manifest, and it makes much more sense that there's a direct connection between point A and point B is always a straight line.
Yeah.
Not a convoluted, twisty, turdy one that eventually comes out. How did that? Oh, because your second cousin once removed was friends with Sharon Tate's best friend 60 years ago. Oh, okay.
Last question.
Yeah.
If you want to answer it.
Yeah, please.
Have you ever had any problems with the people that you've invited to the house? Any Manson followers? Any people that are in the
Manson
negatives?
Followers here all the time.
But no, nothing negative?
I had some Mansonites, as I call them, some fans and devotees of Charlie, come here about 5-6 years ago. They rented the house out for an event for a birthday party, and it was crazy because all of their linens were black, the balloons were black, all the plastic utensils were black, all the placemats were black, all the plates were black, all the candles they were burning were black. They played Manson's movie, the documentary from 1970 called Manson, where this embedded documentarian lived with them for 6 months, and he recorded them and taped and videoed them and or filmed them, and it's unreal, and they're playing Manson songs. And I'm sitting there saying, Sharon, I apologize. I didn't know this. I'm so sorry. Nothing happened.
Really? Okay.
Not a thing. I did have somebody that was here that it was the driver for, I think it was My Ghost Story or Haunted History, and his acting coach was Steve Railsback, who played Charlie Manson in the original 1976 TV biopic, Helter Skelter.
Yeah.
When he came in the house, we walked down to the third level. We were about 8 feet off the landing at the bottom, and all of a sudden the energy became really oppressive around us. We couldn't breathe. We went down, it was even worse. And he says, I'm going to bring Steve here. And I kept hearing, no, you don't.
Oh, wow.
Because he was the living embodiment of Manson, because he was such a tremendous method actor. He looked like Manson, and he acted like Manson, and the spirits were a bit like, no. And he called me several times to come back here, and the spirit's like,
Wow.
No way. That's an insult we will not afford you. And I was like, okay, that's all right. I'm not saying nothing. I appreciate you saying nothing, and I won't, walk on your grave with sticks. So that's what happened.
That's amazing. So where can people find you?
They can find me at, let's see, you can go to Facebook. And by the way, did you notice it just went red?
I did.
That meant the ambient temperature just got warmer, which is the exact opposite of what we just felt.
Yeah,
I just noticed that. So I was going to say, they can go to Facebook under The Omen House, or I Survived the Omen House. Also, houseattheendofthedrive.com is the feature film I made about my experiences here at the house, which I'm looking to get it out in 2019.
I saw it when you played it at LA Comic-Con.
Oh, you saw it?
I was there. I loved it.
It's a fun movie.
It really is.
They can follow me on Twitter on the_Omen1, on Instagram, The Omen House. That's OMAN. And also theomenhouse.com to buy tickets for the 13th of October's 7-hour ghost hunt here.
I can't wait. I really can't. And again,
thank
you.
You'll be back here before then, I have a feeling. Don't worry.
I would love it.
Because the spirits obviously enjoyed your presence, your company. It's like, have him come back for a party when we're having people over, to hang out. He'll get a kick out of it. And, you'll see the difference in the energy in the house, how there's nothing, we're just here. It's even more amped up when there are more people here. And the spirit's like, okay, we got company. Yeah!
Thank you again. And there you go. That is David Omen. And that's really him to a T also. Like I said, he's a little odd, but in the best way possible. And who isn't a little odd? This guy lives with spirits. There's spirits in his house, there's paranormal activity in his house, and there's enough proof to say, yeah, there's something going on in this house. Even my most skeptical friends, I think, would have to say, something's going on in this house just based on the videos alone. Whether they think it's ghosts or not, that's on them. I personally believe there are spirits there, and like I said, David has to live with them. He's made the best of the situation, I'll give him that. I personally think that the house seems to me, and just me alone, seems to be genuinely haunted. Now, I don't know about who's haunting it or why, but we have brutal murders hundreds of feet from the house. There were Native Americans in the area, so that makes sense too. I don't know who's actually doing it. I don't know if I 100% believe that it's the 5 people that were brutally murdered by the Manson family there, but somebody's there. Something's moving stuff. Something's talking. And this leads me to my only debunk for the night that I could find anyway. It might be a debunk. I'm not saying it's 100% debunk, but a ton of stuff online and from the ghost hunting shows on TV states that Benedict Canyon is a limestone and quartz area. And as you know, limestone and quartz does seem to amplify paranormal activity. Almost like a digital recorder. And that makes sense to me. The logic behind that makes sense to me. Or the science behind that makes sense to me. But the only thing I could find doing a simple web search, I admit it's just a simple web search, but the only thing I could find states that a cross-section of the land reveals granite of volcanic origin layered between worn river rocks and ocean bottom mud. And there is no mention of quartz and no mention of limestone. So like I say, that might be, I didn't do a deep enough investigation to the makeup of the land. And to be honest with you, I don't really know how, other than looking at the geological makeups that are available online, which is what I did. So I don't believe that it's built on limestone and quartz. I hope I'm proven wrong because that would explain a lot of stuff, but I personally don't believe that. I wish I did know what experiences the neighbors have or had, and I would love to talk to the owner of the new house on the site, but it seems like that's pretty doubtful. It seems like the only person that's willing to discuss the paranormal in that area is David Oman. He's our only link to that area. And like you heard, David and his paranormal guests or roommates, whatever you want to call them, have come to an agreement of sorts and seem like they aren't there to do him harm. Which leads me to this question. Would I live there? Yeah, it's a gorgeous mansion in the hills of Beverly Hills. It's peaceful. It's got beautiful views of downtown LA. Yeah, if I was given the house, I would gladly take it and make that house my own, but maybe I would sage it and have it blessed first. I would say, yeah, I would do both of those things, but would I live there? Sure. Would you guys live there? Could you live in a house that is feet away from where 5 brutal, famous murders happened? Could you live in a house that has paranormal activity going on constantly? Well, once again, I'm your host, Kurt Sandvig, and this has been another edition of Paranormal Almanac. Kurt here. I bet you're expecting the music to kick in, but before that happens, I did find a couple of maybe possible EVPs I want you to listen to. Tell me what you think. I'm not saying they are, but I'm not saying they aren't. So this first one is right before we're about to go on the tour. We're stepping outside to look on the patio or on the balcony because there was a storm approaching. It was going to come later that night, or supposedly. We only got a little bit of rain. But the skies were definitely getting dark. So you hear David say the skies are getting dark. Then you hear somebody talk just after him that's not me.
Fucking skies are getting dark and the thick clouds. Jesus Christ. Fucking skies are getting dark and the thick clouds. Jesus Christ. Man, you cannot get tired of this view, I tell you. No, not really, but...
Well, what'd you think? Who said Jesus Christ? Because it wasn't me. I was still looking out, and then I spoke because, he was coughing, and I waited for him to cough and said, boy, you can't get tired of this view. I didn't say Jesus Christ or whisper it or do anything like that, and I didn't hear it until I played it back. What'd you guys think? EVP or no? All right, and with that, let's really do the ending here. Once again, I'm your host, Kurt Sandvig, and this has been another edition of Paranormal Almanac. Hope to see you guys there on October 13th at the Oman House. Earthquakes.